Remember the last concert you have attended? Waited in the ticket counter line, got the ticket, then the security checks, ID verifications, bag check, and by the time you got in, one song was already done. And there was another person who come after you, showed a VIP pass, no security checks, no waiting, direct entry straight to the VIP lounge. Same concert, same gate, they come after you, but they were already inside with the cold drink in their hand. This is exactly what happens when your application makes an HTTPS request versus a Postgres database query. And in next 12 minutes, I will show you every single step that is slowing you down and exactly how Postgres gets a VIP treatment every single time. Let's start with you standing at the counter line. You have an HTTPS request ready to send. Here is the call request you are about to fire. You are calling the Google server. The request has 4 fields in the body and just 2 headers, authentication and content type. Simple request, nothing heavy. But watch what happens the moment you press enter. Before a single byte of your request moves, your client and the load balancer must prove to each other that they are real. This is exactly what TCP does. It establishes a fundamental connection. TCP stands for Transmission Control Protocol. It uses what is called a three-way handshake to open the connection. Step 1. Your client sends a message, "Hey, I want to connect. Here is my sequence number." This is called SYN package passing. Step 2. The load balancer replies, "I received your message. Here is my sequence number. I acknowledge yours." This is called a SYN package passing. Step 3. Client sends a final acknowledgement back and connection established. You have reached the front of the counter line. The person at the desk is looking at you, but you have still not paid, and you still do not have a ticket. You are at the counter. Before they hand over the ticket, they need to verify who you are and make sure the exchange is completely secure. No one can steal your ticket or fake your identity. This is TLS handshake. TLS stands for Transport Layer Security. It is the secure part of the HTTPS. The S at the end. It runs right on the TCP connection that we have just established. First, your client sends a message to the load balancer asking, "What encryption methods do you support?" This is called client hello. The load balancer looks at the list and replies, "Let's use this specific cipher suite." This is the server hello. Both sides have agreed on the language of their secure conversation. At the counter, you and staff just agreed on how you will pay and what ID you will show. The load balancer then sends two things. One, its SSL certificate, which proves it is the real trusted venue and not a fake counter. And two, an encrypted message that only your client can decrypt using the public key inside that certificate. Your client creates a random secret string, encrypt it with the load balancer's public key, and send it back. Both sides, client and load balancer, independently use that same random secret to generate the exact same session key. They never send a session key to each other. They each derive it on their own. This is the magic of asemantic cryptography. Both sides then decide, change cipher specs, switching to our agreed encryption, and both confirms with a finished message. The secure connection is established. You have paid for your ticket, the venue has verified your identity, the security checks are done. But look, you are still outside the gate. The actual call request, the one you wanted to send, has not moved a single byte yet. The application server has absolutely no idea you exist. The gates finally open, you are inside. The actual call request gets encrypted using the session key and send it to the load balancer. The load balancer decrypts the request and forwards it to the application server. The server processes it, handles the security checks, processes the JSON body, runs the business logic, and prepares the response. The response goes back to the load balancer. But here is something important. The internal communication between the server and load balancer is not encrypted. It happens inside a private trusted network. The load balancer then decrypts the response and sends it back to you. You decrypt it on your side and process it. One round done. But wait, you need to make more requests. What happened? Once the response is completed, the connection is closed. Your client sends a FIN, I am done. The load balancer acknowledges and closes the secure connection. For every new request, you go through this entire process again. TCP handshake, TLS handshake, send a request, get a response, close. Every single time. This is why typical HTTPS requests take between 200 to 500 milliseconds. Yes, less than a half of a second, but most of the time it's not your actual data moving. Most of it is the ticket counter, the payment, the security checks, and the big inspection. You are spending more time getting into the concert than actually watching it. There is one small improvement built into the HTTP called Keep Alive. Think of it as a wristband they give you at the concert. If you step outside and come back within 15 to 20 minutes, you show the wristband and walk back in. No counter, no payment again. If the keep alive header is set to true in the request, the load balancer keeps the secure connection open for a short window. So if you need to make 3 to 4 requests quickly, like loading a page that calls multiple APIs, you can reuse the same secure connection without doing the full TCP and TLS handshake again. But after that window closes, the wristband expires and you are back to the full queue. And I will show you at the end of the video why HTTP does not get a VIP treatment anytime. Now let's walk over to the VIP entrance. It's time to get the feeling of reach. Yeah. Remember that person with the VIP pass? Let me tell you what happened before the concert even started. They did not wait for the concert date to sort things out. Weeks before, they called the venue, registered, verified their identity once. The venue has set up dedicated private lounge, already stocked, already assigned, already waiting with their names on it. This is exactly what Postgres does. And it happens before your system even receives its first request. The moment your service boots up, not when user hits an API, not when a query comes in, but at startup, it immediately reaches out to the Postgres server and starts establishing a connections. The connection setup with the Postgres has two stages. Stage 1, TCP connection, same as HTTPS, sends a random sequence number. Postgres server acknowledges that and sends its own sequence number, and application acknowledges the Postgres sequence number too. The TCP connection is established. But notice something important. There is no TLS handshake, no cipher negotiation, no certificate exchange. Why? Because Postgres is not talking to thousands of unknown strangers on the public internet. It is talking to your service, which runs inside your own private trusted network. The VIP registration desk does not ask a VIP member for a full ID check on the day of the concert. They registered weeks ago and they already know. Stage 2, Authentication. The service sends a message to a Postgres, I want to connect to this specific database using this username. Postgres asks for the password hash. The application sends the password hash for the verification. Postgres verifies it. Connection is established. That is it. Two stages, no cipher negotiation, no SSL certificate exchange, clean and fast. Here is where it gets really powerful, and this is the reason why Postgres is 10x faster. When you configure a Postgres in your project, you set these three important variables: pool size, overflow, and connection age. Let me show you what happens when you set pool size to 4. 4 separate permanent connections are established with the Postgres server. Think about this. The VIP pass holder did not just book one seat in a lounge, they booked 4 seats for their whole team. All 4 seats are set up and waiting before the concert even starts. These 4 connections are stored in what is called the connection pool. They are long-lived. They do not close after each request. They stay open. There is also a live dashboard, the connection pool manager, that tracks the status of every single connection in real time. How many are idle, how many are in use, how many are overflowed, and when each one was last used, how many query it has handled. When a request comes in, the pool picks an ideal connection and immediately fires the query to the Postgres. No new connection setup, no handshake. The VIP lounge already has a seat ready. The staff already knows you. You sit down and they immediately brings you what you asked for. No queue, no ticket counter, no bag check, nothing. Straight to the seat. So what exactly happens when a query goes through the pool? The full query is sent to the Postgres through the active connection. Postgres processes it and responds in three parts. First, it sends the column name and data types. The client side already knows the shape of the data before it even arrives. Second, it sends the actual raw data. Third, it sends a command complete message with metadata, number of rows written, query status, and other details. That's it. The connection does not close, it goes right back into the pool. Ideal, ready, waiting for the next request. When next request come in, same thing. Pick a connection, send a query, get data, return a connection to the pool. No setup, no handshake, no warm up, just actual work. And if one connection need to be refreshed because of the connection edge setting, the pool handles that quietly in the background while other three connections keep serving the request. Zero downtime, zero data loss. You might be thinking, why does HTTP just not do the same thing? Why not keep the connection alive forever just like Postgres? The answer is simple. The scale is completely different. A load balancer handling HTTPS traffic need to manage connections from thousands, sometimes millions of different users at the same time. Unknown users from everywhere, each one need a full verification. You cannot give a VIP pass to everyone at the concert with a million people. And if HTTP try to do the same thing, it will exhaust its resources completely. Postgres works differently. A typical backend service connected to the Postgres through just 2 to 5 instances, maybe 10 in a very large setup, but never thousands. That small, trusted, controlled environment is exactly what makes the connection pool possible. The VIP lounge works because it is exclusive. If everyone gets a VIP pass, it would be just another general queue. So next time, when you make an HTTPS request and it takes 400 milliseconds, remember what is actually happening. 300 of those milliseconds, you are standing at the ticket counter, showing your ID, paying, going through the security checks, proving you exist every single time. And the next time Postgres query come back in 5 milliseconds, remember why. This is the real reason Postgres returns data 10 times faster than typical HTTPS request. It is not a magic, it is a preparation. If you found this video useful, like it and share it with one developer friend who still thinks database queries are slow. Subscribe if you want more videos like this where we open the hood and look at what is really happening inside. Thank you.